Concussions. This is a word that we hear a lot about today in the world of sports, but few of us know much about them or the history behind them. I'm someone who has loved sports for my entire life, but I didn't know just how dangerous they could be until I first encountered them in a soccer game in 8th grade. I was chasing a ball and my opponent pushed me from behind. As I fell, my face connected with my opponent's cleat. A few hours later, and after a trip to the hospital, the doctor told me that I had suffered a concussion. I was unsure exactly what that was, but I knew that I would have to miss out on soccer for a while. From then on, I wore a protective headband through the rest of middle school and high school soccer. This made me appreciate modern medicine and the technology we have to be able to discover and treat things like concussions. At the time, the world was just beginning to hear about concussions and the damage that they were capable of. Concussions have always been known to be a bad injury, but no one knew just how bad they were. This all began to change when a man named Bennett Amalu, a Nigerian pathologist, came along and changed the world of science forever. Dr. Bennett Amalu, a man from Nigeria, was studying ex-football players' brains, and he began to see some things that caused him to question the health of those brains. These men had died from very strange causes, and they seemed to be completely healthy. Most people at the time knew that a concussion is caused by serious head trauma, and this causes the brain to be jostled out of position. This brain being jostled leads to bruising or sometimes even bleeding in the brain. Dr. Amalu's research, however, showed that repeated concussions would worsen these conditions, and the effects could lead to memory loss or serious conditions such as depression or anxiety. Dr. Amalu came to the conclusion that the result of years of head trauma in these players had led to the buildup of something called tau proteins in the brain. These buildup of proteins led to a condition such as depression, anxiety, and other things that could even lead to death. He named this condition that he discovered CTE. CTE stands for chronic traumatic encephalopathy. A study found that over 90% of all ex-NFL players' brains that were tested contained strains of CTE. This number was staggering and showed just how much damage these players were suffering over their NFL careers. After all of his research and findings, Dr. Amalu went to the NFL to present his findings and to try and make them aware of the damage that many of their players were experiencing. After many press conferences, interviews, phone calls, and persuasion, the NFL finally began to admit some of the problems that they were facing. They began to change some of their methods for treatment of concussions, as well as the protocol and safety measures taken prior. Dr. Amalu's work has changed the way that our society and the world of sports views concussions today. He made the world more aware of a glaring problem. Not only has he made professional athletes safer, but he has helped with the treatment of concussions and helped to ensure that there will be less people suffering from the effects of CTE later in their life. I personally am thankful for Dr. Amalu and his colleagues because they have helped modern science and medicine get to where it is today, to be able to treat concussions effectively and to know the damage that athletes are experiencing today. Dr. Amalu has definitely left his fingerprints all over his practice, and this is seen today as they have recently made a movie about him and concussions in a movie that is called Concussion. While Dr. Amalu is often underappreciated for his contributions, his legacy will definitely live on in the world of sports as well as in modern science.